What's up, guys? Lucky Cheese 7 is back again to give you guys another Eden Zero manga chapter live stream discussion. Well, let me just go ahead and say this right now. Like what I mentioned in the catch up stream I did from 184 to 189, the study room slash lounge that's at my new house has yet to be set up. It's still pretty much just stuff all over the place. So my plan is that by July, late July, maybe late June, let's say from late June to sometime in July, is to get that set up. And then when that's finally done, I'll be able to go back to doing my live reactions like I used to. But that being said, I still have fun doing these discussion videos because, it gives me time to read the chapter on my own. And then, I can just share my thoughts with you guys. We're already a minute in, and some of you are probably just like, you just get to the point and share your thoughts. And, you know, that's cool, but I just want to give you guys an update as to what's been going on. And I would have done this stream like the day the chapter came out, but work and everything. I had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So it's half of the reason why I couldn't tackle my thoughts right on the day. But 191, gonna make that an exception when that hits. That being said, though, let me just go ahead and dive right into the chapter of chapter 190. And it's crazy to even say that because, oh my god, like that's 10 chapters, like literally 10 chapters away from the big 200. And I can't. Here's the thing, chapter number countdowns shouldn't necessarily be that big of a deal, but and Heroes had like certain exceptions where when you get to the big milestone number, or like right around the milestone, something usually happens. It's either on the milestone chapter or just a few chapters after that. Something normally happens, which I think is kind of interesting. But we get this nice little cover page, I should say, of Clean and Jen when they were kids, and then we cut straight over to Rebecca, right as Clown was about to do her thing, and she's like shocked and everything because things were about to turn for the worse for her as Happy screams Rebecca. But Rebecca does something I appreciate a whole lot, and that's simply that she charges up, and you got Clown going like, "Oh, brava, brava," and she just says sorry, but I don't have time to be in your little circus. Oh, but the fun's only just getting started. I, I'm just noticing this right now. Man's singing while he's saying all this, so it's kind of got this musical little vibe to it, if you will. But you got that Rebecca, like as he's doing this, like she's on the ground, but it's interesting because it's kind of like doing a little bit of a circus act, if you will, because she looks like she's about to fall off. Only you see her doing these little um flips. If you guys know how circuses go, you have these little segments where people jump over hoops, and that's exactly what we see Ellie doing. I said Ellie, Rebecca. I'm getting rave. I've been on a rave streak recently too. Just going back and then rereading that. But we're seeing Rebecca do that, like dodge the attacks, and as that's happening, she decks Clown in the face like it's no tomorrow. And like I said, I commend Rebecca for that. I really, really do commend Rebecca for pulling at all the stops and pretty much pulling everyone that hey, I've still got this. Everything's going the way I want it to. And I forgot to also mention this too, but she's in her overdrive mode too, which is fantastic by the way. You take pride in your speed. And as that happens, you see these electrical currents come by, and it zaps Rebecca. And Pino's like, electricity running through the stage. Such bad luck to be a human. And The first thing Rebecca notices as he says that is a curtain, and she jumps straight there. And I love how, even though she's holding on to the curtain, like it's kind of got this clumsy feel to it, to where, and I've said this before too, that that Rebecca kind of reminds me a little bit of Ellie mixed with Lucy. Like that's how I picture Rebecca. Like whenever I'm seeing her scenes, because I'm seeing little aspects of it where she has, Ellie like traits to her, but I'm also seeing stuff where she's very Lucy like too. And what we're seeing right now is obviously Rebecca kind of coming into her own, and she's been like that too ever since. Like if you compare Rebecca to where she was in the beginning, seeing where she is now, it's great. And we're seeing this. She latches onto the curtain, and she's like, "That's cheating, is it? I thought it was standard practice to suppress your opponent's best moves." That's what Clown says. And then he says, "For our next act, allow me to demonstrate the art of juggling." And what's interesting, he takes the swords, he juggles them around, and then he targets them directly at Rebecca. Rebecca notices this, and she dodges it, like she jumps, very cat like. Happy points out Rebecca. Very nice. You may have it to. You may have what it takes to. It's about to quote Ernesto from Coco. You may have what it takes to be a wonderful acrobat. The way you move is ever so comical. Sword's about to go through. Rebecca notices this, and this is what I mean. These little expression cues. That one in particular is similar to the kind of expression Lucy would have. And as she's doing that, she's dodging, jumping over to the next set, and Happy says, "Oh, what does it deal with this cage?" And Pino says, "It does not appear to be locked electronically. If we can deal physical damage to it from the outside," and Pino kind of puts two and two together, and she says, "Miss Rebecca, can you hit the cage with one of those swords?" And Rebecca's like, "Wait, hit the cage with a sword?" And sword comes through. As she's holding onto the curtains, she grabs the sword with her feet, which is fantastic, by the way. She does that. She grabs it with the feet, and Clown's like, "Oh my, how unladylike." And then Rebecca says, "Gather my ether to my feet." And hiya. So she sends the sword up to the cage where Happy and Pino are, breaks it, and Happy says, "You did it. Escaped attempt successful. You rescued Matt. You're okay." I said to you, your rescued mascots won't be able to help you. And Pino says, "Activate EMP." This isn't going to work. We dark we four Dark Star model androids are equipped with anti EMP coding. And then Pino says, "Miss Rebecca, I shut off the electric current running through the stage." And Rebecca says, "Okay." Which, as she does that, she lets go. Clown notices that. She calls upon Happy. "I, sir," gets the Happy blasters out. And dude, this shot right here with Rebecca and the blasters, like that is super classic. Like I never get tired of viewing this. Like just this scene alone. Anytime she brings up the Happy blasters, like it's a real treat. And also, plus combined with the fact that now she has overdrive, that is incredible feat for Rebecca. Incredible feat. And you see the number of blasts. You see one, two, three, like four blasts, which again kind of surprises Clown. Like, wait, what? You stupid little girl, going on for another assault, letting out something from his hand. And Rebecca easily dodges it. And Pino says, "Analysis complete. His armor is lighter on the back of his neck. Copy that." And she performs another flip again, very cat like. which Clown's like, whoa, what? Happy Blaster, full burst, shoots Clown in the back. Clown's like knocked out for the most part. See a smug look on Rebecca's face. See a smug look on Peter's like, yay. Blasts. Clown falls to the ground. Rebecca landed on her feet. We did it. Happy transforms back. You did it, Rebecca. And then Rebecca changes back to her normal form. Thanks to the two of you. And it turns out this man Clown isn't exactly finished yet. Why is that? Why is Clown not exactly finished? Because he says, I see, again, with the very musical tone in the quotes, which catches Pino, Happy, and Rebecca's attention. I'm so sorry I called you a wimpy weakling. Maybe this time I started taking this a little more seriously, which is kind of telling because it's like, wait. What exactly is Clown up to? Because so far, like, based on his combat strategies and everything we've noticed, it's like, yeah, he's doing something, but it doesn't feel like we're getting a lot. Now, granted, a lot of what we've seen has really been on Rebecca's forefront, and I commend Hero for that a lot. I think he's done a fantastic job with showcasing how Rebecca's been able to maneuver around stuff. But this is where things get interesting because Rebecca says, "What?" And then Happy's like, "So you weren't trying at all." And even Pino surprised you, like, any but attack power rising. He's battle dress requip. Nightmare Clown. And yo, I'm not gonna lie, this design of Clown is like this looks pretty cool and also kind of terrifying because I see this and I'm just like, shit, okay. Um, it's terrifying. I'll say that it's kind of terrifying to a point where you're like, hmm. Now, I have seen some people go like, while this is kind of cool, it is also kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know how this fight's exactly gonna go. Because here's the key thing. When this happens, like I said, Rebecca is shocked, sweat coming down, Happy too, and Pino, and he says, pleasant nightmares. And Rebecca, gets caught, and she says, huh? Well, what is happening? And this is something I want to bring up because as this is happening, Rebecca's getting sucked in. And then Happy says, Rebecca. Pino says, the unidentified mistook Rebecca. Bye bye. And that is where the chapter ends, to where Rebecca is caught in a vortex, and we're just kind of left in a cliffhanger. And it's kind of like, okay, what does that entail? Here's the thing. When I saw this part, reading the chapter, I was like, "Wait, hold on, that's giving me flashbacks of something." And for those of you who've read Rave Master, that's a super important key detail I want to mention up because what we're seeing with Rebecca in this chapter being zero actually somewhat correlates back to Rave Master because the main protagonist Haru kind of finds himself into that scenario. I'm not gonna say how he gets to that scenario, but something happens and Haru gets caught in something, and that's very much what we're seeing here with Rebecca, where she's getting caught. And the fact that Clown says pleasant nightmares, that could lead to a lot of things. Now, what I want to point out about this in particular is that um what was it called? Chapter 69, I believe. This was the first chapter of volume 9 of Eden Zero, where we get that flash forward of Rebecca and of Shiki. Like super serious Shiki that was talking about Happy. What's a dead cat gonna do to help us? It's like, whoa, like Shiki, like what the hell happened? And it freaked Rebecca out, which maybe maybe this could be a case where I don't know. God, that's my train of thought. Again, I just remembered. This could be a case where we get more insight into that because one of the theories that's been going around, then this correlates back to Ziggy, is that Ziggy could very much be what I was about to say harder is what Shiki becomes. Because, and I say that due to the fact that in the volume 20 afterwards section, and I'll post a link to a summary somebody made, but there was a lot of few interesting details. One specifically that we are in the second half of the story. Hero doesn't know how long the second half is going to be, and we are going to get a confrontation between Ziggy and Shiki at some given point, and there's going to be something with Ziggy that some people predicted, according to Hero, which again could lead to the theory that maybe Ziggy is like an alternate Shiki. That could be something. Either he's an alternate Shiki or he is what Shiki becomes in the future. Like, how do I look at it like this? Think of Danny Phantom. Think of present day Danny Phantom confronting Dark Danny. It's kind of like that. And again, I'm not gonna say that's off the table because that's a possibility. But there is something with Ziggy that I feel like we are going to uncover in this arc, the Kaede War arc, and not just that though. I think there's a whole lot more things to take into account here because right now, like I said, where we are at right now, currently in Eden Zero, is an interesting place because the fight's not over now. Rebecca's caught, and this could lead to something that could give us more insight as to what Rebecca's nightmare was, because we only saw a glimpse of it. We didn't get and I'm not saying we're going to get a full detail as to what's going to happen in this next chapter, but I do think we're going to get a little bit more insight on that particular instance. We could, or it could just be something else entirely. We don't know. But if you want my prediction on what I think this could lead to, I do think in some way, shape, or fashion, we're gonna get something related to Shiki in this next chapter. That's my call. I think we're gonna get something related to Shiki with Rebecca in the following chapter. I can just feel it coming, and the details we're getting to with this arc, and more specifically with Hero, because like I said, man said, according to Volume 20, and actually here, let me go ahead and just pull it up because I know it's in here somewhere. I know that. Just gotta look through and see where it is. So let me just look this up first. So volume 20, it should be here, I would think. Okay, so there's a summary of volume 20. And here are some of the key details, like I mentioned before. One is that other characters aren't changing was a deliberate choice because, Hero wanted Shiki to stand out. That's one thing. Number two, and I wanted this to be a key thing. The time skip was planned ahead of time, including Shiki growing older. So that's something I think a lot of people could notice. Some people think, okay, maybe it's Hero doing this on the fly. Because he mentioned in Fairy Tale, he wrote that on the fly too. But you go back to an interview Hero did, and I'll post that interview too. This was like when Eden Zero was first starting out. He did mention that he had the story beats planned out. It was just connecting the dots and getting us to certain places. That's what he didn't do. So The fact that this time skip was already planned is intriguing because, like I said, we have a destination in mind as to where things are going to go. That's one. Number two, Herman has changed because he realized, she looked like Miku, and it was unintentional. So that's one thing. Number two is that we're in the second half, and Hero doesn't know how long it's going to be gone for. And honestly, I think that's fine. Okay, you have the story beats, the blueprints, but it's just a road to getting there. Connecting the dots, if you will. It's like I said, it's all about connecting the dots. And that could either take a while or it could, maybe take less time. Who knows? I mean, if we're talking about this current arc of Eden Zero in particular, let's again go back to the story arc. Is what we are in right now is the Cade Cosmos saga. Only two arcs. That's the thing. We're two arcs into the saga, and we're already in the current war. Now, I want to go ahead and say this. I don't think the Cade War arc will be the end of the Cade Cosmos arc. I don't think so. I think what we're gonna get is very similar to Belial Goer, where the Belial Goer arc is technically the last arc, but then we had like that small epilogue arc known as the Eden's One arc to kind of like wrap up everything in the Sakura Cosmos saga. So I do think we're gonna get something after this ends too, especially since we're only 10 chapters away now. Also, but you know that's one thing. Now, according to Hero, he does say supposedly the current story will settle Ziggy and Shiki. So that could be a number of things. That could honestly just be a number of things. That could be okay. Ziggy and Sheik are gonna fight here and now, and we're gonna get something. That's the thing. And I thought about that too, because if that fight is being settled now, if this confrontation is gonna be like the end all be all, to me that means we're gonna get something else with Eden Zero in the story, which is gonna be interesting because a lot of people assumed that Ziggy was gonna be the ultimate final boss of the story. Everybody thought that. Everyone said, "Yo." By the time we found out Ziggy was, back and he's evil, it's like, okay. Naturally, it would make sense for the story to end off with Ziggy versus Shiki. But according to the afterwards, Hero said that this current arc will settle that, and that means there's something else. What that is, we don't know, but I think that's interesting, is that we're gonna settle that. I mean, truth be told, that could actually be a good thing too. And I say that because, again, go back to the end of the Belial Goer arc, and towards the very, very end. Maybe you can even argue it's the first chapter of the Eden's One arc. But there was like the surge of energy that happened that came on to Ziggy. And it wasn't until we got to that arc, back to Granville, that we see Ziggy and it's like, oh wait, what the hell happened? So if anything, this could dictate that there's someone even higher than Ziggy. That somebody else did something. And that's a possibility too, by the way. It's one I haven't thought about for a long time. But that possibility is there. So I do find that fascinating too. Something else that could be mentioned about the volume 20 afterwards is, there are amazing settings planned for Mother and the Chronophage, which again ties back into Rebecca. A lot of what this arc is going to be dealing with is getting a Chronophage to that planet, maybe bringing it back to what it was that Elsie remembered it as a young child. But what it could also do is, again, maybe we get more insight as to what happens. And this is the last key part: is Ziggy's backstory was planned, and he already knows that some fans might have already guessed it. which again, that's not outright confirming that Ziggy is Shiki or Shiki is Ziggy, but it means one of the theories about Ziggy's going to be true. Which theory that is, I have no idea. But case in point, this chapter of Eden Zero. I'm gonna go ahead and give it amazing. It's an amazing chapter of Eden Zero. I'm super curious about where things are gonna go. The only reason why I'm giving it an amazing amount of pure perfection is because I do feel like we could have gotten a little bit more things, just a little bit, like maybe more on what's been going on with like like Wise and Hamura and their stuff. But getting again these things on Rebecca, I think, is great. And the amazing rating is more so seeing, Rebecca's fighting capabilities and how she's able to maneuver around, you know, a circus, much less clown, if you will. But yeah, overall, it's an amazing chapter. I'm super curious about chapter 191 and what's in store for us. Let me know what you guys thought about the chapter. Did you like the chapter? Did you guys think there were some things that maybe we could do things a little differently? But yeah, just go ahead and share your thoughts. And that's pretty much all I got to say when it comes to this chapter discussion of Eden Zero. Again, like I mentioned before, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more Eden Zero. Leave your thoughts about the chapter, and I will catch you guys when chapter 191 drops. Peace and have an awesome day, guys. Super, super awesome, fantastic day. Magimech attack, Gravity Fist.